Alright guys, well I'm back today taking a look at a new Glock. This is the Glock 21 Generation 5 and it's chambered in 45 ACP. I actually picked this one up used and this is the MOS version. Took it down to the range, ran some rounds through it, took it back to the range, ran even more, and after a third trip I feel like I've got a good initial impressions of the new Glock 21 Gen 5. Now a lot of this is going to be very similar to the other Glock generations, but there are some updates and improvements, and we're going to discuss how it feels, how it functions, and how it shoots down at the range. One of the first things I want to mention is a huge shout out to AAC for sponsoring the ammo to help make this video. No, I didn't run 5.56, but I ran a lot of their 45 ACP ammo, and AAC loads a ton of different calibers. It's been running great in this platform, but a lot of other platforms as well. Just a good, solid, high-value ammo choice. Again, huge shout out to AAC for always helping out. Back into the overview. Now, this recently came out, so there's not a ton of aftermarket support on it, but in a nutshell, it's a Glock MOS chambered in 45 ACP. It comes with all of these standard accoutrements like back straps and the case and a little mini kind of cleaning brush and things like that. But more importantly, it's going to give you a good solid feel on a much larger caliber. If you've ever picked up a Gen 3 Glock 21, you know the grip is a little bit fat. The Gen 4s have the finger grooves, kind of telling you where and where you can't put your hands. So the Gen 5 is really going to be, a highlight for me is going to be that grip. It's a good grip angle. I wear size large mechanics gloves. This fills up my hand nicely with no backstrap addition. Now, the minute you start putting backstraps, the grip gets a little bit too fat for my liking and a lot of other people as well. So I ditched those backstraps and just went with the standard grip, and it feels really comfortable. The mag release on this guy is pretty much a standard Glock, 13 round standard capacity magazines, and this one has an ambidextrous slide lock or takedown lever. So, you know, pretty much the standard Gen 5 that you would know and love or hate depending on if you're a Glock fan or not. The MOS plate system is going to be the same as every other plate system. This one went on just fine, no issues there. Everything locked up rock solid, and the Sealy Wolf Pro has been running great. A lot of guys were asking me how I like the Sealy Wolf Pro. I love it. You can check out my full review, but it's been run on a lot of other things, and it's a really great optic that can handle the recoil, handle the abuse, and really work out great. It also low profile enough to co-witness with the suppressor height sights, and it's been working out great. Just like all of the other MOS Gen 5s, you got slide serrations at the front and rear. And overall, it's pretty much just like any other Glock Gen 5. But let's talk about how it shoots down at the range, because I feel like that's going to be a key distinction between this and some others. Now, the recoil impulse on this is surprisingly controllable for a 45 ACP. Now, I know that's kind of a slow and sluggish round, and there's going to be debates in the comment section whether it's going to be an effective round or whether you should choose a 9mm or not. We're just going to talk about the recoil impulse. It's very, very controllable, and this gun is very fast. The Gen 5 does a great job just mitigating that recoil impulse and keeping the gun incredibly flat. As you can see in the intro, the gun shoots super flat, really easy to get on target. And if I had to pick a generation of the Glock in 45, this is the one I'm going with in the MOS version, hands down. Can't wait till there's threaded barrel options available on the market. I actually grabbed that specifically for that, since 45 generally travels subsonic, but there is no options on the market. So if you're a company that does that, hey, leave a comment, let us know when it's available. And if you're a viewer and you find one, let me know when it's available. Leave a comment. I know the community wants to know, and that's the real purpose of this setup. Again, the Gen 3s seem just a little bit too fat in my hand, a little bit too slick for some of that stout 45 recoil impulse. The Gen 4s, they seem to be okay. I've tried some of the SF frames, but again, you kind of get back and forth with mag compatibility. But this one, this is great. For me, I can pick up a Gen 3, Gen 4, or Gen 5, Glock 19, 45, 17, one of those numbers, all those 9mm ones, and it's going to be very, very similar. I mean, there's obviously going to be pluses and minuses, but this is a much bigger distinction between generations in this 45 auto, and I think the Gen 5 is the new king. Honestly, I've got a Gen 3 and a Gen 4, and I may end up ditching one of those now that I've grabbed the Gen 5 because I like it so much better. I'll only ditch them though once those threaded barrel options are available. Until then, I'm going to sit on the three of them and just kind of plink and test and evaluate and kind of give you guys my opinions as time goes on. But in a nutshell, it's a good option. Is this the king of 45s? I don't know. The FNX 45 is out there. The tactical version is out there. There's a lot of good 45s on the market, but this is a solid, very reliable option. And that gets me to my last point. We've already talked about shootability. Let's talk about reliability. And Glock is known for reliability, but the first three mags had issues with feeding. Stovepipes, not wanting to feed correctly. I guess it was a break-in period. Now, I picked this up used. I have a strong sinking feeling. The reason I got a deal on this is because it wasn't reliable for the person who grabbed it. And instead of like resolving the issues, they dumped it. I hate when people do that, but joke's on them, because after about 3 or 4 mags, a cleaning and a little bit of oil, it's been 100% functional. And there was no issues with the gun. It just, you could just feel like it was breaking in. It was a little sluggish. The springs were a little stiff. And now, man, even with this optic on top, this thing runs like a freaking sewing machine. Just chugging along, especially with that AAC ammo. The Federal, when we were first starting to test it with some of the extra Federal that I had left over from other videos, it felt a little sluggish. Start running that AAC, 3 or 4 mags in, and boom, this thing, again, runs like a sewing machine. So very confident in the reliability, but just know from personal experience, sample set of 1, if you do get it, in the first 4 or 5 mags, if you get like a stovepipe or you feel like it's not locking back all the way, you know, something like that, just run a few more mags through it, run a couple of 100 rounds, and then make your assumptions after that before you dump it on somebody else. But anyways, hope you guys liked the video. Hope this gives you kind of an overview and some more information on the brand new Glock 21 Gen 5. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.